Hello and thanks for stopping by. This is Barnstorming for the Atari 2600, published by Activision in 1982. Barnstorming was a fairly common Activision game where you don't actually have to shoot anything. There are no guns, and no enemies to kill at all. Instead, you're just a biplane pilot and your goal is to fly through a set number of barns and finish the level as quickly as possible. We're looking at a game from the early 80s here, and these games were primarily sold to families, so as you would imagine, no horrendous crashes or explosions. And honestly, I don't think there's blood in any Atari game that I've ever seen anyway. These games are simple by their nature, and this was during a time where most games that were created were just trying to do something new and different. No one really knew what would be successful back then, so I think they were apt to try different things. When you look at this game, I think it's fair to assume the development cycle was likely not a couple of years long. It looks and feels like an Activision game mostly, I think, mostly because of the colors they used. I find a lot of similarities in Activision games for the colors for some reason. That may just be me, I don't know. I don't consider this an exciting game by any means, honestly. If you're playing solo, I can cycle through a game like this in 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll ultimately get bored, and then I'll start looking for another cartridge to play. Maybe that's not so abnormal for Atari games though. I guess overall this one does its thing okay. There are 4 different games that you can select here, and the main difference between them are the number of barns. The 4th game has the most at 25. The first 3 games have static levels, so you can actually memorize the pattern of the barns to windmills. You should be able to get those levels done pretty consistently if you do that. The 4th game, though, this is a randomized level. There are a total of 25 barns, yes, but there's no indication as to the actual order of the barns to windmills, so it's going to be different every playthrough. I'm glad they have this one in there. It'd be a waste to not have a level like this. If you wanted to goof around with friends with a game like this, randomizing the levels is a fair place to start. This game is really just about piloting your plane through the barns in the shortest amount of time. You need to travel down and through the barns, which is skimming the surface of the ground, and then you have to dodge up and over the windmills. Above the windmills, you're going to find an absurd number of geese, and I'm sure you're going to hit some. Don't worry though, they're going to be just fine. The obstacles in this game, they all operate basically the same here. If you hit something, no matter what it is, it's going to slow you down. So you're basically just going up and down to dodge, and you press the joystick button to control throttle. It's all about getting a feel for the controls a game like this, and you want to maximize your speed at the right times to try to get the best score you can at the end. It's nice that when you hit a barn you don't explode, I guess, but you bounce back instead. After a while, the sound that the bounces make, it starts to hurt after a while. Certainly this is a family-friendly game. No explosions, just bounce backs. After a while though, that noise is going to grate on you. The graphics are what you'd expect for the system in the time period, so we're not breaking any real barriers here. I like the way they designed the plane, and I like how your little scarf flaps around in the wind as you fly around. It's kind of clever. Overall, there's not a lot to do in this game really. You're just racing for the best time. The lack of variety and depth limits the game for me, I think, at least as a solo game. I can see having friends over and passing this one around the room to give people a try, everyone trying to get the high score, but it's not the type of game I'd sink tons of time into. It's fun enough, I guess, but like I mentioned in other videos, this is a rotation game to me. Play it for a few minutes and then move on to the next one. This game was also part of the Activision Patch Club. If you scored a time of at least 33.3 seconds on Game 1, 51.0 seconds on Game 2, or 54.0 seconds on Game 3, you could take a picture of your television and mail it into Activision, and they'd give you a membership to the Activision Flying Aces Club. And they'd send you in a Flying Aces patch. Well, that's all I have for Barnstorming for the 2600. Thanks for stopping by to give this one a watch, and I'll catch you later.